Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Great America Show. It's great to have you with us today. Happy Friday. I hope you folks are all as ready for the weekend as I am. As you know, we are back from Florida. We're back in the studio, and we're back to the full-time grind. I appreciate you guys staying with us through the week. A lot happening this week. If you joined us for our Wednesday episode with the great Roger Stone, you were with us as we broke that Tish James is a criminal. The New York Attorney General who accused Donald Trump of overinflating his assets to secure good mortgages. Well, it turns out Tish James did the same thing. It also turns out that Tish James is not apparently a resident of New York, although she's the Attorney General of New York. We're going to take all this up on today's episode and so much more. The masks are off. They have been off for the Marxist Dem Party for some time now, specifically since November 5th, but it's really accelerated since that mid-Monday in January when Donald Trump was sworn in as 47. They've been melting down. I mean, the laundry list of things these people have been doing is very, very long, but the latest one is protecting illegal aliens. And it's not just the Democratic Party, it's the mainstream media. Earlier today, Dr. Oz was sworn in as a member of the Trump administration. President Trump gave a nice little speech, and then he started talking about that illegal MS-13 gang member who was deported back to El Salvador. Take a listen to what MSNBC decided to do when President Trump started talking about this gang member. Take a listen.
In 2019, Garcia was issued a deportation order. Two separate judges affirmed Garcia was a member of MS-13, which is a gang that may be even worse.
We've been watching President Donald Trump there swearing in the new administrator of the CMS, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid, Dr. Mehmet Oz, during this conversation.
Now, I don't know if that's perfect timing by MSNBC or it's a coincidence. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt that it was probably just a coincidence that they decided to cut away from the press conference when Donald Trump started talking about illegal aliens. Go figure. Like I said, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt because eventually their time's going to run out and we're not going to have to give them the benefit of the doubt anymore, but we'll give it to them for this time. Senator Chris Van Hollen of Maryland made his way down to El Salvador over the week to try to meet with that MS-13 gang member. It didn't work out too well. Where's Pam Bondi in the middle of all this? We often see Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, on Fox News multiple times a day, but we really have seen a lot of inaction. I mean, where has she been on the Epstein files, the RFK files, the JFK files, the MLK files? These are all things, folks, that we've been asking for years. It's not like January 20th came along or November 5th came along and we said, all right, let's start looking into who killed Jeffrey Epstein. An easy one. Not even talking about the Epstein list, which I want among everything. Let's talk about who killed Jeffrey Epstein. No, we haven't got as much as that. So I don't know how much more time we're supposed to give Pam Bondi. You know, a lot of people are saying, let's be patient, give her some time. She's going to do a good job. But looking at her track record and everything she's done and who she's worked for and her lobbying gig before she took over as Attorney General, I'm not so confident that she's going to do the great job that we're being told she's going to do. Enough rambling for me for right now. I want to bring in our guest today. He's a good friend of mine, a host of an amazing show on YouTube, Rumble, wherever you guys get your podcast, the Stephen Gardner Show. Like I said, you can catch him. YouTube is the best chance to get him. He's got a massive, massive, massive audience there. Like very, very impressive. Bigger audience than Michelle Obama and Gavin Newsom combined. We'll say that, Stephen, to start. Steve, I want to start with, first of all, welcome back to the show. It's great to have you back. Welcome back from vacation. Pam Bondi, what the hell is she waiting for?
Well, as the Attorney General, her job is to go on Fox News. Now, I don't know. I have to imagine that she sees herself as the face and the voice of the Department of Justice. But many people that I talk with, I see it in the comments on my YouTube show. They're saying, wait a minute, why aren't we seeing any arrests?
Right.
Why aren't we getting the files released? Why aren't we seeing more traction? They want to see her less on Fox News and more in front of the court on the steps hauling somebody like Letitia James or Barack Obama or John Brennan, somebody in who was a part of all of these different schemes that we've been hearing about for so many years.
And you know what, Steve? There was literally so much corruption over the last 4+ years. Okay, let's put Jeffrey Epstein aside, which I don't really mean that because I've been so keen on it every single day. Like I want the Epstein files. But let's put that aside for right now. Let's put aside RFK files. Let's put aside the MLK files. Let's put all of that aside. Things that we've been asking for years, okay? We'll put all that aside for right now. How about the 2020 election, Steve? How about Biden's auto pen gate that he's been doing? How about all the people who propped up Joe Biden while the guy was a walking corpse? How about Joe Biden's doctors who sat there and lied and said the guy was cognitively all there? I mean, there's so much that Pam Bondi could be going after right now. It's not just these big cases that we've been begging for years. I mean, there's things that have happened over the last 4 years that she's literally, what does this woman do for a living? I'm so mind blown. Now, I know, Steve, that government employees don't really do anything, right? We've all been to the DMV before. They just walk around angry as hell eating lunch like 6 times a day, okay? But what the hell does this woman do for a living?
Well, I had Jovan Hutton Pulitzer on. If anybody doesn't know that name, he was the gentleman that ran the audit for Maricopa County, Arizona. And he found so much fraud. He is holding all of that and waiting for Pam Bondi to reach out. He has tried multiple times to reach out to her, but he told me on my show earlier this week that he believes that the 2020 election is about to be brought back into play. He believes that it's going to be a major part of winning the midterm election for the Republican Party. So I want to see that. I want the Jeffrey Epstein files to come out. I want it all investigated. I mean, you've got now General Michael Flynn saying, wait a minute, we now have unredacted files, thanks to Mike Benz and Tulsi Gabbard, showing that there was collusion in the White House to go after Donald Trump. So why aren't those people being hauled in? To me, it sounds like treason. Hey, let's come up with a scheme to go after the new president before he's even been sworn in. I want to see some arrests, and I know my audience does too.
Steve, what's among one of, it might be the only one. What's among one of the only, if it's not the only one, and I'm not a lawyer, what's one of the only crimes that has no statute of limitations?
Maybe murder?
Treason. You just said it.
Oh, treason. Okay.
There is no statute of limitation on treason. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to quiz you there because it was like right in front of your face, but that's usually like what it happens most. But there's no statute of limitation on treason. What these people done, those 51 intel chiefs that sat there and wrote a letter that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. What is that? Are we supposed to forgive that? What they did to Donald Trump in 2016 when they spied on his campaign, when they tried to pull up the whole Crossfire hurricane documents that are out right now, where they tried to tie him to Russia, where they tried to ruin this man's life. Is that not treason? I mean, there's so much that we could be talking about that Pam Bondi could be doing, but she decides to spend her time on Fox News. How much longer are we expected to put up with this? How much longer should Donald Trump put up with this?
Well, you're friends with Kash Patel. I'm friends with Kash Patel. Then you've got his deputy director, Dan Bongino, who's putting out all of these cryptic tweets over on X saying, hey, listen, I'm not going to ask you to trust me, but I need you to trust me. There's things going on behind the scenes that we just not allowed to talk about. But just trust me that something's happening. So it's like, okay, I guess I'm being forced into a position of patience. But at some point, like, I want to see you do your job. There's so much evidence of collusion and corruption. Like, why aren't they going after all of these USAID people that have literally been stealing our money? You pay a lot in taxes. I pay a lot in taxes. I don't want that money stolen and then sent to terrorists and foreign nations and flooding my country with illegals from third world countries. I mean, I want somebody to be held accountable. And who knows? I know we're going to talk about this. Maybe it will finally be Dr. Fauci. Donald Trump's been trolling him pretty hard today.
We're definitely gonna get to that. We're gonna save that for the end of the show to have some fun and wrap up our Fridays here before we head into the weekend. You know, you'd mentioned a two-word phrase that I used to infamously use when I was lying to my parents as a child. Trust me. And like you had said, Bongino, it keeps saying, trust me. The more you say trust me, the more I have a reason to not trust you because you're lying to me. It was, you know, I'd do something wrong when I was a kid and I'd tell my dad, listen, trust me, I didn't do it. And then, Stephen, as everything, the truth always came out and I was caught. He'd say, you told me to trust you. But you're right, Dan Bongino putting out these cryptic messages. He put out one the other day, just because it, and I'm paraphrasing, just because it doesn't seem like we're not doing anything doesn't mean we're not doing anything. And you're like, dude, if you were doing something, you wouldn't have to put out that statement. The stuff that you guys need to do is not stuff that's behind the scenes. It's stuff that needs to be put out in the public domain. The amount of trust, Steve, that the American people have in the FBI right now, I bet if we did some polling, I'm going to ask my buddy Mark Mitchell of Rasmussen to do some polling. I bet the people trust drinking tap water in Mexico, where you just were, more than they trust the FBI and our government officials. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if we don't see something happening, I'm going to be like, okay, is this QAnon 2.0? Like, oh, someone's always going to be arrested. Oh, you're going to see something on this specific date. That ended up all being garbage. And I really hope that the Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, Pam Bondi thing, I want to see some traction. And, you know, I know that they've got a lot of cases to deal with, you know, fentanyl and gangs and shooting at college campuses by mentally ill people. But there's got to be a task force that's going after these major stories. The Republican Party was wronged. There needs to be vengeance, but like righteous vengeance, right? Like if you've really done wrong, you need to be held accountable. I want to see that accountability.
Steve, you remember probably over the last 6 months, we heard retribution. Donald Trump is coming for retribution. And the Democrats went crazy that Donald Trump was all of a sudden going to tear this place down, and his Department of Justice and his cabinet members are going to say, I'm sitting here now like, where the hell is this retribution they were talking about? Is it coming? Is it not coming?
I just keep telling myself, I don't know what's happening, to be patient, but at some point patience will wear out. And I think it will for most of the American people as well.
You're still looking good.
I'm still feeling good. You know, I've got all your MyPillow products. Mattress topper, bed sheets, MyPillows, towels, slippers, blankets.
I'm interrupting this commercial to do something I've never done before. Get 2 MyPillows absolutely free on orders of $100 or more. I can't do this forever, so get on board with this great sale today. Our best-selling 6-piece bath towel sets or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Our famous standard MyPillows only $14.98. Queens $18.98. King size only $1 more. Body pillows $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color. So go to MyPillow.com or call that number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And when you spend $100 or more, get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
Steve, I want to turn to the Democrats, and what they've been doing lately has literally just been a campaign of defending criminals. Now, they've always done this, right? But never to the level that I have expected with this fella from Maryland. Before we get into that, I want to roll a clip of Tom Homan on with Caitlin Collins of CNN last night. Take a listen.
I've seen some people look at this and say they're worried that the stance of this administration when it comes to this is that if someone is deported by accident, that they have no responsibility for them once they are in the custody of a foreign government. What would you say to that?
Well, they're in the custody of El Salvador. He's an El Salvadoran national. He was born in El Salvador. El Salvador has him in custody, and El Salvador decide what happened to him. I mean, again, the El Salvadoran president made it clear he's not going to release him. So again, I'm going to go back. The DOJ, they can fight this out in the courts. As I'm not a part of that. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a prosecutor. So we'll let the courts, decide what the next steps will be.
Even though it was a U.S. immigration judge who said the one place he can't go is El Salvador. I mean, he could have been deported literally anywhere else.
Again, we can keep going back and back, but again, that was years ago. Country conditions were different. That gang no longer exists in El Salvador. He has been designated a terrorist since that time. 2 different federal judges said he's an MS-13 member. A police department said he's an MS-13 member. ICE data shows he's an MS-13 member. El Salvador says he's an MS-13 member. As you know, MS-13 has been designated terrorist. The case has the facts of the case have changed since that first decision. So again, I'll leave it up to the DOJ to argue that case in court, but that is where I stand, and that's my belief.
Okay, Stephen. The judge said there's no evidence to believe he's an MS-13 member. The tattoos on his fingers, on his knuckles that say MS-13. I don't have any tattoos, but I can't say I'd go out and get a tattoo with MS-13 on my knuckles if I wasn't in MS-13. This fella, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who was deported out of here, wasn't just here illegally. He was an MS-13 gang member, but he was also under investigation for suspected human trafficking. All 3 of those things don't need to be combined. The fact of the matter is he was here illegally. That's enough for him to be deported. Yet you've got Senator Chris Van Hollen and other senators who didn't sign on to the Lake and Riley Act, a woman who was brutally murdered by an illegal alien. That's just one instance, Stephen. But these people are now going down to El Salvador to bring back illegal criminals to America? Did you ever imagine you'd be seeing something so stupid in our country?
No. Think back to President Trump's State of the Union, where he's honoring this family that's lost their daughter. The Democrats literally won't stand for somebody who was violated and then killed, but then they'll fly halfway around the world to have cocktails with a murderer and a killer and a wife beater and somebody who was supposed to leave the country. And then what's with saying the only country he can't be returned to is El Salvador? It's the country he's from. Where else would we send him? China? I mean, so I think every Republican going into the 2026 midterm election, they need to hammer on this. They've avoided their voters. They've betrayed their voters. They care more about illegal immigrants, murderers, and rapers. Why would you keep voting for somebody who literally supports someone who might hurt your wife or your children? I don't understand it.
I guess, and I don't mean to hurt anyone's feelings, but I guess it's got to be the same people who voted for the tens of millions of people who voted for Joe Biden this last election. After everything we saw in the referendum that was incoming here in America, there was still an overwhelming amount of people who voted for, I said Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, same thing. They're one and the same. But there was millions of people who came out and voted for Kamala Harris after everything they've done to this country. Kamala Harris is not qualified to work at McDonald's. Yet she had people come out and vote for her to be president of the United States. Republicans should be hammering this message home right now before the midterms, because it's a short 2-year period to the midterm elections. I mean, we're less than 2 years away now from this very crucial point. How long do you think the Democrats hold on to this messaging for?
I don't know. I mean, not only is Kamala Harris not qualified to work at McDonald's, but she never did. They were able to prove that. Donald Trump worked at McDonald's longer than Kamala Harris. But to get back to your question, I mean, there's a part of me that wants them to just lean further and further into stupidity, because it just makes common sense look brilliant, right? Like if you're a dull light bulb and you got a bright shining one next to it, it looks so much more brighter. That's what Donald Trump has done for the Republican Party. He's brought new light back. We've got so many great leaders on the bench that can come forward. They've got Kamala Harris. They've got Bernie Sanders. Now I'm reading that the number one top pick for president in 2028 is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. So I say, bring it on. We'll wipe the floor with you. This is what Republicans have. They have good policy, and this is what Democrats have, the mainstream media. But all of that could be going away because these mainstream media, they might lose their big pharma funding. They're certainly losing their viewership. At some point, sponsors are going to pull out. It's going to collapse. I say lean into it further. But, you've got even people like comedian Bill Maher that are saying, if you continue to push further and further left, you are going to lose the majority of Democrats. They'll just become independents. And independents, as they get taxed to death and they start seeing how the country's working against them, what do? They end up voting Republican. So I say bring it on.
Yeah, but these people are just – I had lunch earlier this week with Grant Cardone, the billionaire real estate investor who's thinking about running for governor of California. And he said to me, he goes, John, you have these people in California who you'll say, why do you put up with this? Why do you put up with there being no water in your fire hydrants? Why do you put up with homeless issues like no other nation in the world? And I say nation, not state. Why do you put up with corrupt government officials? Why do you put up with a governor who locked you guys down during COVID, but was out at the French Laundry having dinner with whoever? Why do you put up with this? And it's sort of baked in the cake. And people say, well, Grant said to me, people said to him, well, and the tax system, we pay for this weather. You see this? And California is the most beautiful state in the country, in my opinion. And I'm from New York. And they say, well, we pay for this beautiful. Well, you don't have to, because you can go down to Nevada. You can go and pay no taxes, by the way. California's got the highest. You can go down to Arizona and pay 2% tax. You can go where you're living. I won't, if you want to tell the people where you live, you can tell them, but you can go where you're living and pay no taxes. Why do you put up with it? And the people say, well, because it's just what it is. When you have a mindset like that, Steve, how do you ever get things to change?
Well, I think you have to make the numbers real, right? Like right now, they're so used to living in the highest tax system that I don't think they know the difference, right? But if you make it real, like, hey, wouldn't it be nice to have an extra $12,000 this year? Yeah, that'd be great. Okay, well, if you didn't live in California, you would have that extra $12,000, right? And I hear that one as well. Well, we're paying for the Mediterranean weather. We get that good weather all year long. Well, again, you cannot tax people into prosperity. And I think it will get bad enough. I actually think California is significantly more Republican than most people know. Mm-hmm. But they're just not activated. I was down in California. I spoke with a couple of people and they said, we're Reagan Republicans. We don't really love Trump. He's too abrasive. Reagan was kind and gentle and strong. And I'm like, yeah, but you got to vote based on policy, not based on people all of the time. Yes, you want a good person, right? But I just think at some point California will wake up. I mean, here's a good example. I had Steve Hilton on my show, and he said that they basically went from a full Democrat city council to a full Republican city council in Orange County near Huntington Beach in 4 years, because the people were just fed up with it. That finally the conservatives in the county, in the city, they woke up and said, wait a minute, we've got to take back our city. The way to do that is to take back city council. And so anyway, I do think that people will wake up, but there's got to be more political involvement from conservatives. They're very quick to just let somebody else take care of the problem. There is nobody else. So it's got to be you.
And we've got to start running candidates of quality. I mean, you had that guy who ran for Senate, just total milquetoast. It's not what people want. People want, now, there are people who say Trump is too abrasive, whatever. He's not. If you're a New Yorker, Steve, I mean, I come off as offensive to a lot of people because I'm a New Yorker. It's the way I speak. It's the way, I deliver things. People find it. It is what it is. I mean, there's nothing you can change. It's who we are. It's what we're born into. When you're born in Florida and you're born in the Midwest, you're a lot more docile. You're not around high-paced moving environment. Whatever. That's just what it is. But as you said, you got to, take everything with a grain of salt. Would you rather take a guy who's maybe slightly a little bit offensive, who gets your gas prices to low levels, who gets your eggs prices to low levels, who gets inflation under control? Or do you want a guy who looks and plays the part of president? Well, we can't use Joe Biden, but we'll say like a Barack Obama or George Bush, who looks and plays the part, who literally sells out your nation to every single country under the sun. Which one are you choosing, Stephen?
Yeah, I want a strong leader. I think one of the big eye openers about Donald Trump this second time around is they're like, okay, he may have an abrasive personality, but he's very authentic. And especially this younger generation, they're becoming conservative more than any other generation in the last 100 years. And I think it's because they crave authenticity. And so even though he's abrasive, he may rub people wrong, at least you know where he stands. And so I think there, again, we have a lot of good people within the party, but I think good, strong candidates don't usually run because they love their families. They don't want their families to be put through hell. I'm not a big Mitt Romney fan, but I remember watching a documentary after he lost the election, and he said, you have no idea behind the scenes all of the stuff that they did to my family. Good men don't run for office because they don't want to put their families through it. And I was like, okay, I don't really like you, but I believe what you just said is true.
Yeah, I mean, look what they did to Donald Trump. I mean, the guy almost got assassinated once. The next time they let a guy in the bushes near his golf course, this is a whole different story, which we can talk about if you want to talk about. The guy was he was setting up a place inside the golf course to shoot this guy again, take a shot at him again. But on the side, he was trying to buy rocket launchers from Ukraine to shoot his motorcade or shoot down his plane. And no outrage. But we get outrage from Sean Hannity when they go after Governor Shapiro's home in Pennsylvania. We get outrage from Sean Hannity, who's giving airtime to Taylor Lorenz to gloat about Luigi Mangione. But no. We don't talk about this guy who is trying to buy a rocket launcher from Ukraine, who we fund.
Yeah, and at no point did someone in Ukraine go, hey, maybe Donald Trump should be careful. We've got a wackadoodle here that's trying to sneak back into the country with a rocket launcher in his pants. I don't know. I think Ukraine wanted Kamala Harris, so maybe they wanted Trump removed, right? I mean,
they hate Trump.
Oh, yeah.
Europe hates Trump.
Yeah, well, I mean, just today, Marco Rubio said he's been having private conversations with Donald Trump and the cabinet about if Zelensky isn't serious about ending this war, then why on earth are we giving them weapons and money? You cannot deal with somebody that flip-flops, says one thing on camera, behind the scenes, badmouths you. It's not a good partner. He's not a good partner anymore.
Yeah, why are we wasting our time with Ukraine? These guys, Zelensky will not call an election. He will not tell us what he wants to do. Came to America. Now they're saying they're going to maybe sign a mineral deal. If they don't sign the mineral deal, then they, like you said, they'll move on. Why are we wasting our time? It's not our war. Russia's not going to take Kiev. Russia's not going to move further west. I mean, everything the mainstream media has told us to scare us. The smartest person on this, I don't know if you've had him on your show, but if you haven't, definitely should. Doug McGregor, Colonel Doug McGregor. I mean, totally brilliant. And from the beginning, he said exactly how it's going to be and how it has been. And he's been called a Russian shill. He's a Democrat. He's working for the Russians. He's this. He's not American. He's anti-American. But everything he said has come to fruition, and it's been true. Like, at what point do we just say enough's enough? You don't want peace. If Europe wants America in this war. I mean, Europe wants to drag America right across that damn Atlantic Ocean and bring us into every single war that they have for whatever reason. I don't know. I have to assume it's because people get very rich off of it. But I think Europe's end goal, which is why we continue to see them pouring money into this, is to bring America into another world war, Stephen.
Yeah. I love Colonel Douglas McGregor. I had him on earlier this week on my own show. I think actually having him on so often is what got me on the Ukraine kill list. So
Yes.
the journalists that will be killed if they come there, Stephen Gardner, my name is on there. That's not something I'm proud of. I don't have anything against the Ukraine people. I call the balls and strikes.
Right, but what does that tell you, Stephen? What does that tell you?
Yeah. Well, okay, so I think we just need to be done with it, because here's where I'm thinking. So Zelensky comes for the third time. He's promised, I'm going to sign this mineral rights agreement. Donald Trump says, we'll help you. We will end this war. I will work with Vladimir Putin. And then he gets kicked out of the White House for being rude and ungrateful. And what does he do? He immediately goes to Europe. Europe rallies. They do all these mean tweets about Donald Trump and America not pulling their weight, even though we've put up more money than any other countries. And then as soon as Trump says, no more weapons, no more money, Europe is like, well, maybe we should look at a peace agreement, right? So they want war as long as America's paying for it.
Oh, that's exactly accurate. And like I said, we'll see what happens with Iran. But just this week, we find out the war hawks tried to push Donald Trump into war with Iran. It took Tulsi Gabbard, President Trump, and Pete Hegseth to say, let's take the diplomatic approach first. Yet, Stephen, Donald Trump is this unhinged psychopath. He's a threat to democracy. He's a threat to the world. He could have leveled Iran last week or this week, whatever it was. He could have leveled their uranium sites. And he said, no, let's give these people the benefit of the doubt. Let's see if they can act in good faith. Yet this is the man that the Democrats want dead. This is the man that people in polls say if he gets assassinated, it's justifiable. This is the man that the rest of the world hates. I think it tells you something very, very big when you look at the mindset of Donald Trump and why the rest of the world wants him gone.
Well, they try to, any direction he goes, they push the opposite, right? So, for example, he's a wartime president. He went after the Houthis. Then he stops a war with Tehran in Iran, and they're like, oh, well, now he's weak. He's not supporting Israel. Like everything he does, they find an opposite to call out. I believe that he knows, if necessary, he's the commander in chief. He will use the U.S. military like a scalpel, and then he wants to pull back. He doesn't want endless wars. He doesn't want boots on the ground for long periods of time. I believe him. I believe that that's true. But, you know, Biden has made this Russia-Ukraine war so complicated, so complex. They got used to living off of American tax dollars. Now they're going through withdrawals and they're lashing out. They're saying that we're not supportive. We've been very supportive, but you need to end this war. How many more people need to die?
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
A great point, Steve, on foreign policy. I want to turn to here now the body politic here at home and have some fun here as we wrap up our Fridays and get ready to head into the weekend. Joe Biden, I thought when he left office he was going to ride off into the sunset, but it seems with Donald Trump drying up his son's slush fund with U.S. aid and Ukraine and China, he can't make any money. So Joe Biden's deciding he wants to do a speaking tour. The only problem is nobody's paying the $300,000 VIG plus the private jet, plus the room and accommodation for 5+ people, according to CAA, Creative Artist Agency, who reps him. Nobody's willing to pay that. We got this man out of office because we couldn't take listening to him anymore. Now he thinks he's worth $300,000. Now, Barack Hussein Obama charged $400,000, so it's a little bit of a decrease. But who the hell is paying this guy $300K, Steve?
I don't know. Like, he's just going to come in and he's going to ramble, and you know the thing. And anyway, people like to touch my hairy legs. Listen, John, they could go get a homeless person for the price of a corn dog and probably get a more coherent message. That's not to make fun of homeless people or corn dogs, but honestly, like, who would pay this? The only reason that big firms will pay this is it's some kind of you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. You help us in the future, but Biden is out of the game. Mm-hmm. Nobody needs favors from Biden, and nobody's going to pay him this money. I'll be very shocked if he gets somebody to say, yes, we'll write you a check for $300,000. We will put you in a $15,000 an hour private jet. We'll fly you, Jill, Hunter's cocaine, and his paintings to sell on the corner, and the 5 staff members it takes to wipe your butt, change your diapers, and make sure that your mouth isn't dry, and we'll let you come speak to us. I don't think it's going to happen. I really don't. And I'm sure that he left the White House broke, just like the Clintons did. But maybe he needs to start the Biden Foundation, and then he can take over Haiti and get a whole bunch of free donations or something. I don't know. I just don't think anybody's going to pay $300,000 for Biden to ramble.
No, you're right. The only difference is, and I say this all the time, I can't stand Hillary Clinton. I think she's evil to the core, but she's not a stupid woman. She's got a higher level of intellect than Joe Biden ever had, and she knew how to play the system. So, take that for what it's worth. As I often say, and it pisses people off, but she's not a stupid person. Evil as hell for sure, but she knew how to play the system, and she knows how to play the game, and that's why she made all that money. Now, there are people, Joe Biden can't raise $1 to hear him speak, but there are people who are paying Bernie Sanders and AOC. Sanders has apparently spent more than $200,000 flying to the same events on private jets as AOC. She doesn't get on the private jets, but she flies first class. Sort of hypocritical, right, Steve? These are the people who tell us that cow farts create global warming, that you're privileged and you're an oligarch if you fly first class, let alone on a private jet. Is this gaslighting to the max?
Yeah, I don't know if this is like out of the Bill Gates playbook, where it's like, listen, you can actually fly in a private jet to a climate change conference and tell everyone they're bad and fly back, and they'll still give you the money. They'll still believe you, right? You got Bernie Sanders. He's literally $15,000 an hour on a high-end private jet to fly in to tell people having money is bad, that capitalism is bad, that America is bad. Like, dude, your message used to be protect the American worker. You know who stole your message? Donald J. Trump.
Right.
He's the most popular president among the working class and the middle class in since Reagan. I think it's so hypocritical. You fly in on your private jet. That's one thing I like about Donald Trump. This is where Mitt Romney really messed up. Mitt Romney was worth like $200 million, but he didn't want people to know it. He would pretend to be average Joe. Oh, I understand. We struggled to raise our kids. Dude, you're rich. At least Trump just owns it. He's like, oh, I'm rich. I love being rich. I want to make America rich. Anyone that's around me, I want to be rich. Somehow this billionaire captures the heart and the trust of the working class. Why? Because he goes to work for the working class. So yeah, I think Bernie Sanders, he's lost his way. Maybe he's enjoying the caviar on the jet at 30,000 feet. I don't know. I just think it's very hypocritical.
Oh man, I just had food poisoning this past week from eating sushi. To think about caviar just put my stomach. By the way, I don't even think caviar is that good. I'd much rather eat McDonald's. I think it's such a rich person's scam. But argue with me if you want. The whole, I used to believe Bernie Sanders, and I used to believe the garbage. Let me rephrase that. I never believed what he said, but I used to believe that he actually believed what he said until I realized he sold out to the Democrat machine when the election was stolen from him in 2016 by Hillary Clinton through superdelegates. And this idiot comes out and still endorses the woman. Going back to this, to add insult to injury, the tour that they're on is called, quote, Fighting Oligarchy. And that $222,000 he spent was only in the first quarter of 2025. That's a lot of damn flying to do, Stephen. Here's a quote from one of his campaign stops. Quote, "We will not accept a rigged economy where working people struggle while billionaires become richer. We have to create an economy that works for the working people, not just Mr. Musk and the billionaire class." I mean, like, the disrespect that these people push on the American people because they think that we're stupid. Well, not you and I, but the people who vote for these Democrats. It's mind-blowing to me. Enough giving these people clout, Stephen. Let's turn to something that's meaningful. RFK getting sued by the left for going after autism. Now, before the show, we were talking about this. California has among the highest autism rates in the country. Here's some autism rates. 1 in 36 boys have autism. 1 in 36 have autism. 1 in 20 boys have autism. 1 in 12 and a half boys have autism in California. 1 in 103 in Texas. California, as we said, has the highest and most crucial vaccine process in the country. What are your thoughts? I mean, the Democrats don't want to get to the bottom of autism.
Yeah, it's like, why are you defending rapists and wife beaters, but not your own voter? Why are you against getting to the bottom of autism? I mean, they already know that in 1989, there were 13 major changes. Those 13 major changes encompass big food, big pharma, and big chemical. Well, who do you think is telling the Democrats to sue RFK to not find out where autism is coming from? It's got to be their donors. It's got to be these lobbyists saying, you get out there, Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren is now treating RFK Jr. as if he's being disrespectful. Like, well, autistic people, they play a part, and we should honor them. But that's true. They need a life of dignity. It doesn't mean you go make more autistic children. If you can stop autism, you stop it. 25% of these children that end up with autism, they have seizures, they smack their head all day, they can't go to the bathroom, they're nonverbal. So, like, they need an advocate. They don't need somebody trying to produce more people with autism. I can't wait for them to get to the bottom of it. I hope he is protected. I hope that God will spare him so that we can get to the answer. But they already know it has something to do with big food, big pharma, or big chemical, and those people are terrified of the lawsuits that could come out of it. That's why they're telling Democrats, you better get out there and sue them immediately.
And we all know somebody, I mean, who has autism, a family member or friend. I could talk about it here because he doesn't mind, but the man who helped build all the websites and infrastructure for the show is a highly functioning gentleman with autism. Great kid. I feel for him. He's very high functioning, probably has a 150 IQ, very, very smart, but, the social aspect is not there. And that's, best case scenario for someone with autism. You're highly functioning, but not socially. And it's so sad to watch what society does to these people. All the people who make our merchandise, it's a 501c3 or used to make the Lou Dobbs merchandise, a company called Community Resources, where they employ people with autism who are functioning to make all the screen printing and stuff like that. And they take them from the homes that they live in. They pick them up every day, and they pay them wages so they get them out of the house to get them functioning into society. Unless you've experienced someone with autism, excuse me, or witnessed it, these people don't care. These politicians don't give a damn, Stephen. They don't. it doesn't affect their lives. They go shake some hands every now and then, but they don't give a shit whose kid has autism. They don't care that a parent has to raise that child. Not everyone's blessed with a child who's high functioning autism. Some people, as you mentioned, are not high functioning, and it's very hard for a parent. It's hard for that person to adapt to a normal life. I mean, how could anyone with a good conscience, Stephen, sit there and say, we don't give a shit about autism. We don't care about getting to the root of it. Let it just keep going. How do the people of California justify that?
I would assume most people in California don't know that 1 in 12.5 boys has autism. I bet they just don't know that statistic. So maybe we got to start by just getting the truth out there and then expose it. But it's just so weird to me. It's like, of course you treat any child that has autism with dignity, whether they're high functioning or low functioning, but it doesn't mean that you go make more. I've seen so many videos. I've talked to people in person. We have people with autism in our family, in our church, in our neighborhood, and none of those parents are like, I sure hope our next kid has autism. I sure hope our next kid can't look us in the eye, doesn't want to be touched, doesn't want to be hugged, can't talk. I mean, it's heartbreaking. So the fact that Elizabeth Warren is now like degrading RFK Jr. I'll just read you what she said. I won't share RFK Jr.'s lies about autism. It's disgusting and dangerous. If he had a shred of decency, he would apologize and resign. Autistic people contribute every day to our nation's greatness. To every kid with autism, I'm in the fight all the way for you. Yeah, but what you're saying is you want to make more autistic children.
Stephen, if you asked every single person with autism if they can do it all over again, would they choose to be autistic? I can guarantee you 100% of them would say no. Watching it, witnessing it, experiencing it, living with it is not an easy thing. And as you said, I have family members too, very close family members. And I witness it at the holidays. It's very, very sad. And some of them don't know they have it. So, there's so many different cases on how it could affect you and high functioning, not functioning, there's so many different cases, but it's just a terrible thing to me that the Democrats will go that low to mess around with stuff like that. Truly, truly sickening. Let's end the show on a light note and have some fun because that pissed me the hell off. Anthony Fauci, man who received a pardon. President Trump, troller-in-chief, unleashing a new website, a new White House website, whitehouse.gov/lab leak true origins of COVID-19. Let's go through it because we heard, Stephen, for years that COVID came from the wet market, came from anteaters. Let's just go through these bullet points from the White House. Number one, the virus possesses a biological characteristic that is not found in nature. Two, data shows that all COVID-19 cases stem from a single introduction in humans. This runs contrary to previous pandemics where multiple spillover events. Wuhan is home to China's foremost SARS research lab, which has a history of conducting gain-of-function research, gene-altering organisms superchanging, and inadequate biosafety levels. 4, Wuhan Institute of Virology researchers were sick with COVID-like symptoms in the fall of 2019, months before COVID-19 was discovered at the wet market. And lastly, 5, by all measures of science, if there was evidence of a natural origin, it would have already surfaced, but it hasn't. There you go. There's the wet market. There's the Wuhan Institute of Virology. And let's scroll down a little bit further to our topic of conversation. There he is, the gremlin in chief, a full unconditional pardon for any offenses against the United States, which he may have committed or taken part in from January 1, 2014. Stephen, I'll tell you why that scares the hell out of me. It's because January 1, 2014 is 6 years before COVID-19. What the hell was the nutty professor doing in January of 2014 that he needed a pardon for?
I think that this is so wonderful.
I should call him Frankenstein. I'm sorry.
Yeah, if they can't bring him in or arrest him for crimes against humanity, funding a virus that killed millions and then covering it up because he had the highest level of government eating out of the palm of his hand, then the best thing you can do after that is just shame his legacy and let people know the truth. This guy is not who you thought. He's not worthy of a Mattel Barbie doll. He is the guy that funded this. If you had a family member who died in a senior center, it was because of this. So I just love it. I think Trump probably he's cautious to talk about it, but I guarantee you inside he's like, I hate when people lie to me. They just lied to him over and over again. And then that Dr. Burke, she admitted, well, yeah, we had to, we had to manipulate Trump in order to get him to say certain things. And the only way out of this was through big pharma. Oh, these other medicines. And now guess what? There's like 12 states where you can buy ivermectin over the counter. They've now come out and they've proven like, oh yeah, all of these things that Trump said, they were all true. Yep. So I think it's wonderful. I think it's great. I did see that there's, I think, 7 states that are trying to bring charges against Fauci because the Joe Biden auto pen only forgives him on federal stuff, not on state level. And so I believe these states are going to be going after Dr. Fauci this year.
Yeah, we learned so much from COVID-19 and everything. I took hydroxychloroquine when I got COVID. I didn't even think twice about it. Donald Trump said, it may help. I looked into it. It's been used for years for rheumatoid arthritis. Now, all of a sudden, it's dangerous because Donald Trump says it. I took it, Stephen. I was better in 2 days. I was feeling like death. And this is the original COVID. It's not the little cold one, which I've probably gotten like 15 times since it's like incubated. But, it was like anything the man said during COVID. It was like disinformation. I won't say the streaming outfit, but there was a specific streaming outfit that came and censored everybody. Still to this day, if you put out something talking about COVID, they review it and they mention it as disinformation. So, it's truly sad that this is what society has come to, and it's really remarkable. But thank God we have President Trump back in office. Stephen Gardner, it's always great to have you here on the Great America Show, the host of the Stephen Gardner Show. As always, the floor is yours. The last word is yours.
Well, I think the American people are ready for some arrests. So Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, we're all waiting. The floor is yours.
Stephen Gardner, folks, you can catch him each and every day. He works harder than me, I have to admit. Stephen Gardner Show on YouTube. Stephen, come back soon.
I will. Thank you.
Thanks to Stephen Gardner, folks, and thank you all for being with us today here on the Great America Show. Please be sure to join us back here tomorrow for the Great America Show, where our quest for truth, justice, and the American way continues. Same time, same place tomorrow. Until then, may God bless you, may God bless America, and may God bless the great Lou Dobbs. We'll see you tomorrow, folks.